Hey guys, so I just want to talk about different levels in behaviour change. Now, this is again taken from Atomic Habits, and it basically talks about the different levels of change and how we want to shift the way we look at those. So typically when people want to make change, they start with outcomes, which is the sort of outermost level. So that means, let's talk about one of the most common habits that sort of we want to change, and drinking alcohol. For a lot of people, that's a big one. So if I look at the outcomes, that's going to be I want to reduce the amount of alcohol that I consume. So that's the outcome. To make that happen, the next level is processes. So what processes do I have to put in place to get those outcomes? And that would be things like not drinking throughout the week, setting limits on the amount that I have on a Saturday and a Sunday. And then the third and the deepest and the most important level is identity. So, identity changes that now I have become the person that doesn't drink during the week. I've become the person that limits myself to 5 beers on a Saturday night. Now, we tend to start from the outside in. We tend to start with the outcomes, then we change the processes, then we will change our identity. But if we look at it in reverse and we try and think about changing our identity first, that just makes it a lot easier. It makes it more likely to happen. So reversing that, you think about the person that you want to become. So I want to become a person that's in control of my drinking. I want to become a healthy person. I want to become an active person. And then I think about the processes that person might undergo. So a healthy person, an active person, someone that's in control of their drinking, that person they probably wouldn't drink Monday through Friday. They probably wouldn't drink more than 5 beers on a Saturday night. So shifting my identity or my perception of the person that I am starts to change this around, and it changes the processes that I go throughout my day, throughout my week, which leads to the outcomes that I want, which means that I reduce the amount of alcohol that I consume. So when we're looking at changing identity, the way we see our identity is the person that we believe we are is because of proof. Over weeks, months, years, decades, we've accumulated proof to tell us that this is the type of person we are. So if I have trouble restricting the amount of alcohol that I drink, that's probably because over the years I've seen proof that I can't limit myself to 5 beers on Saturday night. As soon as I start drinking, I want to have more, and once I've hit that 5, a little bit of the self-control goes out the window, so I have 6 and 7, then I keep going. Over the years, I've had proof that that's the type of person I am. We've talked a lot about incremental changes making huge change over time. Now, the more evidence you have for a belief, the more strongly you'll believe in it. So when we're making this incremental change, we want to create evidence that supports the new identity that we want. So I've talked also about a habit tracker. So let's talk again, we use this same example. If I limit myself to no drinking during the week, I set up a habit tracker and I have a calendar of the day of the month. And on Monday, I don't have a drink. That's a tick. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I tick them all off. And that's each of those days that I tick off without drinking during that week. That's evidence. That's me proving to myself that that I can act in a way that the person that I want to become will act, the identity that I want to take on board. Saturday night, let's say I slip up and I have more than the 5 beers that I've set myself, and there's a cross there. If we're looking at it from the wrong point of view, you can see that as a failure. You can see that as, okay, I told myself I wouldn't drink more than 5, and now I've failed. I'm not that person. But if we've got that habit track and we've got proof, you don't need, it's not unanimous. It doesn't have to be 100% perfect. It just has to be the majority. So I look over that week, and the first 5 days of that week, I've cast a vote to become the person that I want. There's one day that I got it wrong, but the majority is positive. And then the next week I might go through and they're all ticks, and I succeed. And then that's 7 days. That's huge proof that I am behaving in a way that identity would behave. So continually just ticking those things and creating that, it shows us that we are that person, and we are becoming the person that we want to be. To sort of get to understand that what that identity is, you need to decide the type of person that you want to be first, and then you need to prove it to yourself with small wins. So that's exactly what I just talked about. And sometimes we can't be, we're not sure what that identity is. So this is when we actually can reverse it and go back to the outcomes and think, okay, what's the outcome that I want? I want to reduce the amount of alcohol. What type of person would limit that? The type of person is someone that's committed, someone that values their health, someone that wakes up on a Saturday morning and is active. That's the kind of person that I want to become, and that will help you. Sort of, if you think about the outcomes, that'll help you decide on what that person is, what you stand for, what your principles and what your values are. I guess the last point I want to make is that it is a feedback loop. So our habits shape our identity, but our identity also shapes our habits. So if we start to, if we create this identity that we want to become, and we start to put things in place and cast votes to become that person, then the more we identify with the new identity, the more of those habits we start to portray. So it's this feedback loop. So I create this idea of the person I want to become. I understand what processes that person would go through. I start to cast those votes for that. Then every time I cast a vote for that, I'm proving to myself that that's the identity that I am. That's the person that I am. And so when I start to believe that, then the habits that I do without having to, make more of a conscious effort reinforces that identity. And it's just this feedback loop. So the more you do it, the more likely you are to become that person and to act in a way that person would act. So habits, behavior change, it's a massive topic, but the more we understand it, the easier it is for us to get our head around and to make the change that we want to make. So choose the identity that you want to be, and just start casting those votes, and you'll see the difference sooner, and it'll get easier and easier as we go. Hope that's helped. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Ciao.